Well, the Mammoth Lakes Police Department officers had a lengthy foot pursuit on Monday afternoon before arresting a 21-year-old man from Texas. Press release from the Mammoth Lakes Police Department states that on Monday at about 3:40 p.m., Mammoth Lakes Police Officer Doug Hornbeck, while on routine patrol, stopped to contact a white male adult who was panhandling near the Laurel Mountain Boulevard entrance to the Gateway Mall. Now, the press release notes that beginning with a consensual encounter, the officer Hornbeck conducted a field interview. This was in an effort to identify and learn more about the subject. Subject gave Officer Hornbeck different names and began acting suspiciously, according to that press release. Officer Hornbeck observed a knife in the subject's belt and began to frisk the subject to secure that knife and to check for other weapons to protect both himself and the public. Now, the subject, according to that press release, suddenly pulled away and ran, with Officer Hornbeck giving chase, and he immediately let other officers know he was in a foot pursuit. Now, Mammoth Lakes Police Department officers, as well as Mono County Under Sheriff Moriarty, chased the subject for about 15 minutes through the Shady Rest Tract Forest to Manzanita, around several apartment and condo buildings near Sierra Nevada and Chaparral, through backyards north of Sierra Nevada Road, eventually taking the suspect into custody behind the Arrowhead Apartments at the corner of Arrowhead and Sierra Nevada. Several citizens along the way pointed Mammoth Lakes Police Department officers in the direction in which the subject had fled, which greatly assisted the officers staying on the trail of the subject. Now, that suspect, identified as Cody Allen Terrell, age 22, from Irving, Texas, also got to meet new Mammoth Lakes Police Chief Al Davis, as it was Chief Davis who ultimately caught and handcuffed him. Terrell was charged with resisting, delaying, or obstructing police officers and giving false information to police officers. Terrell gave no explanation as to why he ran from Officer Hornbeck. Now, that press release continues that at the same time this incident was occurring, the Mono County dispatcher received a call regarding a subject who was deceased. Mammoth Police Department officers were still chasing Terrell, so Mammoth Fire and Mono County paramedics responded to Sierra Manor condos and confirmed that the subject was deceased. For some of the officers from the Mono County Sheriff's Department and California Highway Patrol who were responding from out of the area to back up the Mammoth Lakes Police Department, and for some listening on scanners, there was initial confusion that the two incidents were related. However, they were not. The death appears to be from natural causes, but is pending the Mono County Coroner's report. Now, the Mammoth Lakes Police Department in that press release wants to remind the public that per the California Vehicle Code, you must pull to the right for emergency vehicles displaying red lights and siren. Responding officers encountered several cars that complied with this law. However, there were several motorists that maintained driving in the #1 lane, and some actually pulled to the left. The press release notes this is extremely unsafe and against the law. Emergency personnel responding with lights and sirens cannot legally pass a car on the right. Mammoth Lakes Police Department, Mono County Sheriff's Office, and Fire EMS personnel ask for the public's cooperation in this very important requirement. This will also allow emergency personnel to respond quicker to emergency situations, as well as keep motorists safe. And the Mammoth Fire Department will be conducting wildland firefighting training over the next 2 Thursdays. Sierra Wave Media's Rob Gill talked with Chief Frank Freevault.
The exercise tomorrow is part of our pre-wildland fire training we do every year. And while we may still have some snowbanks here in Mammoth, the Owens Valley fire season starts a little bit earlier, and so we get this training out of the way early. The specific focus of the training the next 2 Thursdays, tomorrow will be what we call rolling structure protection. It simulates a fast-moving fire moving through residential areas. And then the week after that, we'll be doing a different type of a scenario where we have a large number of spot fires raining down in a particular area. The primary focus for the participants on Thursday will be Mammoth Lakes Fire Protection District, but we're also doing some interagency training with the Community Emergency Response Team here, and they're formally with the Police Department, but we do a lot of cross-training there. And then we also hope to have some U.S. Forest Service personnel involved, but that'll depend on their staffing and availability. Well, CERT is a really valuable resource for us locally, and the team's fairly new. So what we're trying to do is get the team members themselves integrated into some of our training so that we have a better understanding of their capabilities, and they understand a little bit more about what we're doing. Also work out some communications issues, logistics, and just kind of drill down a little bit and be more prepared for the actual incidents when they occur. Tomorrow we'll be in one of three areas, not all at the same time, but through the course of the evening we'll begin up on Juniper Road off of Lake Mary Road. There's a set of structures in there. Then we will transition down to Lower Majestic Pines, down where the new bridge crossing at Waterford is. That's where we would end, but we would work our way down through that area. And then the final location would be above the slopes there with Panorama and Ridgeway. The Thursday following will be actually in Old Mammoth, roughly east of ski trails and Waterford. Probably below the bluffs. I don't think we'll get up into the bluffs, but generally the Old Mammoth area as we commonly understand it. Well, most of our people are part-time, so they have day jobs, and so our trainings are on Thursday night. We'll generally, for those 2 nights, try to get a pretty early start, which for us would mean we'd be out at that site probably around 6:40, 6:45, and that training would probably run through until close to 9 o'clock. So the specific exercises that people would see us doing tomorrow night is we will have a number of fire engines in a row, roughly in front of homes. We will be practicing the rapid deployment of fire hoses, a short knockdown of the fire, and then rolling those lines up rapidly on some pre-connected hooks that we have on the engines, bumping around a couple of fire engines onto another house that's unprotected, redeploying those lines in kind of a leapfrog fashion as we move through the neighborhood along with the fire front as it would move through. So that would be tomorrow's exercise. Yes, so the following Thursday we're going to simulate a different type of fire threat to the community, and that would be something that we call an ember cast, where we would have a large fire maybe out of Lakes Basin, perhaps even the San Joaquin drainage. But spot fires, embers that are burning, can carry great distances. And so for the same reason that you get heavy snow just kind of rolling over an Old Mammoth, the same orographics would lend themselves to dropping in spots in those areas. So to simulate that, we're going to use light sticks. It'd be easy to see at night when we train. And so I'll pre-position about 20 of these in the Old Mammoth area, and then we'll do another 10 or so spontaneous based on how the exercise is going. Each of these is set up to where we have them inventoried so that we can make sure at the end of the exercise the various spot fires that were reported either by simulated call into our dispatch, the ones that the crews find as they're working through the neighborhood. At the end of the night, we actually kind of test ourselves and find out, did we find all the spot fires that were actually put into the exercise. So you may see some of these hanging from trees or, side yards or open areas in the woods, but by the end of the evening, we will collect all of these up. Well, we'll do a briefing beforehand. Obviously, it is a training exercise, so we'll direct our captains, to try to tread lightly as they work around structures. We'll try to be mindful of that. We will be flowing small amounts of water, but it will be dispersed in a fog pattern, so it's mostly misting. We will also have some signs out that would indicate training in progress at key intersections. So there shouldn't be a lot of disruption to traffic given the time of day in the evening. But in those areas, we will have a number of fire engines that would be pulled off to the side of the road, but nothing that should hamper traffic going through. You just may need to slow down a little. Again, if anybody's got any questions, never hesitate to ask, and we'll let you know we're doing a training exercise. So they may see some lights and hear lots of engines and sounds, but it is just a training exercise.
All right, thanks for that, Chief Freeball. Well, Deb Murphy filed this report for Sierra Wave Media. The only place water seems to show up in the Owens Valley lately is at meetings. It's certainly not coming out of the sky. The Inyo County Board of Supervisors approved the Inyo County Water Department's recommendation that irrigation allotments be reduced by 23% in the Bishop Cone. The action moves the matter to the Inyo County Los Angeles Standing Committee. Now, the runoff prediction of 50% of normal in the fourth consecutive year of severe drought will probably set a record. Inyo Water Department Director Bob Harrington told the supervisors the irrigation reductions on Los Angeles Department of Water and Power agricultural leases will allow for better management of what little water is stored in the reservoirs on Bishop Creek. Better management will hopefully avoid issues in West Bishop that surfaced over the last year. Southern California Edison delivered the full Chandler Decree allotments 2 years ago, having been denied a waiver from LADWP. The results were shallow residential wells running dry during the 2012-2013 winter and flooding issues from a high water table during the 2013 spring flows. Now the ag leases totaling 2,300 acres in the Bishop Creek drainage are allocated 10,958 acre feet under the decree. Last year, that allotment was cut to 8,785 acre feet, and this year that drops to 8,438 acre feet. The reduced flows from mid-May to August will reserve 3,352 acre feet in storage. But it wasn't so much the amount of water as it was flow management, said area rancher Mark Lacey. I recognize the challenges on Bishop Creek, he said. There are so many people involved. He added in reference to the Barlow housing developments and McLaren area. Lacey said, quote, "We need a head of water for an effective spread. Irrigators have to wait for water to come through the housing development," end quote. Now, Lacey also explained that ranchers have allotted days that water will be available. In those days, if those days include weekends, the water availability is reduced and delayed on its way through the residential area. Lacey asked the Bishop Creek Water Association members be responsible in their water use. "We have to work together," Lacey said, "but we also have to suffer together." Now, last year, Lacey met with association members and representatives from Edison and LADWP. "The most important time for us to irrigate is May through July," Lacey said. "Last year, we offered to stop irrigation early, but that offer wasn't accepted." Bishop Creek Water Association President Steve Stevens made a brief statement that association members are planning on conservation measures as well as working with Edison, LADWP, and the Bishop Paiute Tribe. In other water matters, Harrington told the Inyo Supervisors that LADWP is planning 4 new production wells, 1 to replace a well in Laws, 2 in Bishop near the gun club off of US 395, and the other at Schober and Barlow Lanes, and also 1 in Bell Canyon west of Big Pine to supply water to the community's ditch system. The proposed wells will go through the technical group for analysis to, quote, "see if they are consistent with the long-term water agreement," end quote. That according to Bob Harrington. We'll be back with more news.